Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the Sweetwater Minute. We are at GearFest 2016, and we have two very special guests here. We have Travis Nunn and Daniel Carson from the Chris Tomlin Band. Thanks for being here, guys.
Hey, man.
Good
Thanks for being here.
Reach across and shake your hand.
This is so cool for us.
Drums and guitar.
Yeah.
And you guys were doing a workshop earlier, right?
That's right.
That's correct.
What were you talking about in the workshop?
We're talking about sound checking and kind of how we do it, different scenarios on tour or like in a church setting, which we're in a lot, and just kind of our process and approach to sound checking like we do.
Sure. Is it radically different when you're doing a big show versus when you're in, say, a church situation or something like that?
Yeah, I guess it depends. Like if we're on a tour where we're playing, 30-something nights of the same kind of concert package, then it's a little more like kind of normal every day. Like you kind of get into a groove where like every day you kind of walk in and everything's kind of similar situation. But if you're like, in a church if you're in a church team or something, you have different players every Sunday. It's not always the same thing. You might be rebuilding a new mix with a new monitor engineer and everything. So when we have done church stuff in the past, it takes more time because of those kind of all those variables. But on the road, everything's kind of like more consistent. So I think one of the things we were trying to kind of get out of this was maybe like, here's a few things you can maybe do that we use on the road to kind of speed up what you might use at your church,
Right.
So.
When you guys were here recently, you did a concert here in Fort Wayne at the Coliseum, and I was over and interviewed Matt Gallagher, the keyboard player, and he was showing us the whole rig and all the technical workings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty complex stage setup.
The mothership.
Yeah.
Mothership.
So how do you guys do the sound check then? Do you go in and you practice parts of songs, or do you just check the instruments, or is it more involved in that?
We kind of go in, sit down and kind of jam for a little bit. We'll noodle around, or Gilder will start playing a piano thing, or Daniel will start playing something on guitar, and we'll just kind of fall into place and just kind of warm up in a sense, like get into the swing of things. And we kind of like to ease into it for the day, and just kind of have fun doing whatever we're doing for a moment. Get a good feel for things, how the room is sounding and all that. And then Matt will start running some click. We'll kind of fall into that. And then we'll just start running a song and start checking. And as we're running the song, we'll just start checking things, hey, something sounds funny here or something sounds funny there, and kind of address it. So.
Right. I was at a show here recently. I won't name the artist, but the front person of the band was basically his sound check consisted of, we need to practice this bar of this chorus, and we need to fix this note, and this harmony was off last night. And is that the kind of thing that you go through, or is it more relaxed than that, or how does that process go?
We work through some of that ahead of time. So you try to prepare as much as you can before you go on tour. We'll do like production rehearsals and stuff. So we'll like really try to kind of fine tune everything as best we can. But then, when you get on the road and there's actually people in the room, sometimes things feel different than you might have imagined. And Chris is great about always like he doesn't just stick to what we practice just because we practice it. It's like, I don't really feel like this is working. So that's kind of what he would do. He might come in and be like, that transition from this song to this song felt a little awkward. So, the first night of the tour might look different than night 2 or night 3 or night 4, because he's kind of trying to fine tune the flow of the set.
Right.
And that's something we all really work hard at, is just the kind of flow of the night and how things, so it may not be, hey, you're playing the wrong part. That's usually something we've worked out in rehearsals. It's more like, hey, let's try this, maybe this thing a little bit differently than this thing for a transition, or let's try swapping these two songs, this one in front of this one, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So.
It seemed like there was some fluidity to the show, that things could kind of change based on the crowd or based on what was happening.
Transitions are a big thing for him.
Yeah.
So.
Right, getting from song to song and making sure all that
In Gilder's world, all the pianos that he's, so crucial with that, because like he'll get us kind of out of one key and into another key where it doesn't feel like you're like stripping gears, because that can be a weird thing, as like you're like playing in this key and all of a sudden you have to play in a key that's like a half step down. It's like, it feels all like weird and depressing, and
you don't want
he's
that.
always good at it. So we'll find like a common note, like like if he's playing in this key and we end on the 4 chord, and I can play like one note that kind of works for both keys, I'll kind of hang over, so when he comes into the new key, we kind of all, So some of that kind of stuff we work out. So.
Right, and you guys have been doing it for a while, so you kind of probably have a feel for how the process goes. Yeah. So have you had a chance to get out and check out the show here?
Man,
at the
can't
GearFest?
wait. Coming up. Not
We're
yet.
about to.
Yeah.
About to wander around out there.
Yeah.
There's like more than 400 manufacturers here, and they
Man,
fill those
that's
tents up with
incredible.
everything.
Crazy.
Get your hands on
Wow.
stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys will be meeting lots of people as well. You're
yeah.
going to be recognized all over
Oh
the
yeah,
ground. so-
go nerd out on some pedals and all that fun stuff.
That's going to be fun. Yeah, it's a beautiful day to do it.
Yeah,
it's
well,
nice.
And we really appreciate you guys coming in,
Man,
doing the
total
workshops,
treat for
and
us.
taking some time to sit down with us here today. It's really been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you, Daniel.
All right, thank you.
Travis.
Yeah, appreciate it.
And thank you for joining me for the Sweetwater Minute. I'm Mitch Gallagher.